Greetings all you maniacs with minds on grinds, welcome back to another Warframe's Ins and Outs. I've been pre-recording a bunch of these, so yeah, there's that. Don't know when this one's going to come up. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about one of the craziest frames in the game when it comes to just sheer raw, just damage potential. Saryn. She, without a lack of a better term, is a beast. She is an absolute beast. And let's quickly go over her abilities. I also have a couple of builds. So the first build I'm going to be showcasing is my meme build. You could probably already see it. Anyway. So, spores. It will do corrosive damage to enemies, and when you pop the spores or the spores kill something, they spread. Very, very simple in some terms. It kind of ignore the fact that it does corrosive damage because it honestly doesn't matter. Enemies that are even strong against corrosive will still take the same amount of damage. It doesn't really matter, but it will strip armor. So she is a walking corrosive projection. Molt. With its augment, this ability is very worth using because, you can use Hunter Adrenaline, get hurt, get your energy back, although the Saryn doesn't really need a shit ton of energy. And then heal yourself with regenerative molt, so it's nice. Toxic Lash. So this will instantly make spores break and spread absolutely faster, and it's much more powerful with melee. It will also add toxin damage. Now again, ignore the fact that it's toxin because it doesn't really act like the way toxin should. It does damage over time, but it kind of ignores any resistances. Except for Toxic Ancients, interestingly. They do take way less damage, but they're still taking damage over time. And Ancients are weak against Blast and Corrosive. So if you're having trouble with them, I don't know how you would. Corrosive, Blast, Heat will do very, very well against all infested. And then Miasma. Miasma does viral damage. Now again, ignore the fact that it's viral. Because yes, it will have its enemy's health, but over its duration, it'll just keep doing more and more and more damage. So, let's first show off the spores. Now, let me spawn in some enemies, of course. Now, before I get into this, let me show my build. So, this is the first build I'm going to be showing off. Now, this is a bit of a meme. 280% range Saryn is a bit of a meme, but I use this build in Sanctuary Onslaught in big ass open areas because you're going to need that. If you're not going to be using Saryn for that, I have a second build that I will showcase in a little bit. So, yeah, you could also make her full Umbral. I don't know if I'll do it. It's very easy to make her full Umbral because she is super easy to rank up, thankfully, because you just press 1 and the entire map dies, kind of. Not exactly like that, but anyway, let me show off her spores. So her spores is this. So, now that this is hooked on that guy, it will, in fact, over time, chomp the armor away and will spread around. Now, if I press 3 and shoot it... Okay, so a lot of things are happening here. One, that guy has toxin and he's going to die real fast. Look at that. Look at that damage. This is 120% power strength. Secondly, has no armor. Thirdly, the spores damage will continue to go up and up and up, and this exponentially grows the more enemies are infected. So in Sanctuary Onslaught, why do you think Saryn is so goddamn powerful there? Because there are very, very large amounts of enemies. Like, the most I've ever seen be infected by me was about 60, and the damage ramped up unbelievably fast. Now, these guys have no armor anymore, which is fantastic. And you can see the quote-unquote corrosive damage just keeps going up and up and up. That guy's going to die. And this lasts forever. There is no duration on her one, which is the most insane thing in existence. You'd think this ability would have duration, but it doesn't. Honestly, it's kind of OP, but that's what Saryn is. She is OP. And then her 4... Oh, they already died without me using my 4. Anyway, let me go over her passive because her passive is kind of important to her abilities. So, status effects last 25% longer. This is kind of fucking insane because it means any status. like gas damage, even stealth gas damage, if you can actually manage to get that with Saryn, which is not likely unless there's someone on your team like an Avara or an Octavia making you invisible. Also, Slash is also affected by this. So yeah. Anyway. Let me spawn in 20 of these guys because hopefully Simulacrum doesn't freak out. Sometimes Simulacrum does not work right. I wish I could spawn in more than 20. 20 enemies, okay. So let me show you why I like to use this build 6 runs. So I just press 1, shoot. Everyone's infected. Every single one of them. Right? Maybe there's one that's not. No, so I just do that. Alright, now everyone is infected. They're cooking. They're cooking. The spores are doing their thing. And then if I press 4, everyone gets Vile procced, and you can see that their health just gets chomped down even faster. Did someone already die? No, not yet. So, it's also worth noting that her 4 will stun enemies. Let me get my energy. Saryn can be a bit energy hungry, especially if you go really spammy. But it stuns the enemies, and it's doing more and more damage over time. And, wow, enemies fell off. They're probably they're dead. So I don't really need to do anything. I can just literally chill, and they're all just gonna die. Also, her 4 makes the spores even stronger. Now, obviously, with this much power strength, only 120%, these numbers aren't very impressive. Well, I say that as they all die. But here's another build. Let me showcase another build that would be used if you don't use Saryn in really huge areas. This build. So this build is, again, it's pretty standard, but you want at least 170% range with Saryn because you want to have the ability to spread her spores more. So for that, you can, in fact, also use Cunning Drift. This will give you 190% range, but you will sacrifice some strength. Now the spores can spread decently far. Not as much as the first build. Also, the more power strength you have, the higher the status chance. Ignore that because it's basically guaranteed that you're going to get corrosive procs. So I don't know why that's there. But anyway, this is not as strong as you can build Saryn. What can I get rid of here to make Saryn even stronger? You can get rid of the duration if you really want to. And then you can put on Intensify. 180% power strength. Now the spores are doing even more damage, and her 4 is going to be doing even more damage. And then you can go one step further and put on Power Drift. And now I have 195% power strength. Now this build is going to just absolutely fucking slaughter. Let's unpause the AI. Let me turn myself invisible, and let me show you how you use Saryn. So you can use her with melee too, because the spores will spread better, and then you can just do that. Let me spread all the spores around. People are already dying. Also, her spores affect Condition Overload. All of her abilities affect Condition Overload. These are level 120s. I am using a pretty powerful Zal, but still. Why do you think Saryn is so powerful? This is why. Saryn doesn't care. Now, could she get even stronger? Yes, if you were crazy enough to put the Forma in and do some crazy shenanigans like what I'm about to show you. So put on Rejuvenation. I recommend Rejuvenation on her because even though you can heal yourself, just having that health coming back is nice. And then you put on all 3 Umbral mods. And then Transient Fortitude. This kind of build, yeah, this is really just a bit much. You can also throw an adaptation if you want. And then you can also just then stack on your range. But of course, I would have to Forma her a bit more. Eventually, I might actually do this. So let's show this build. This build is basically the same as this build. Same amount of range, just way more power strength, and also it has that boosted Umbral stats. So what the hell does an Umbral Saryn look like? Well, you're about to freaking see, and it is horrifying. An Umbral Saryn is just... Also, you could also put on Blind Rage and other things like that. Boost power strength even more. These guys are... Am I even needed anymore? I'll just press 4 again, because why not? They're all just gonna... And remember, Condition Overload is, in fact, going kind of haywire with these guys. So an Umbral Saryn is absolutely just insane. Now, imagine if I had Growing Power. Yeah. If you have... Are they all dead? Yeah, they are. I doubted Saryn that she would kill them all. So, if you have Growing Power, applying status effects with weapons. So, your Toxin, instantly growing power. 25% more power strength. So, this would probably go up to... It might be additive after. I think that's what it is. So this would go beyond 230%. So if you want to do that, but I don't have growing power, or I would. So Saryn is an absolute monster. She is monstrous. She's horrifying. She is absolutely freaking horrifying. But I love every bit about her. She's awesome. She doesn't look pretty. But again, who cares about aesthetics when you're this strong? Is she the quote-unquote strongest frame in the game when it comes to murder? Probably. Do I think a max range main Equinox is a little bit more efficient? Kind of. But the Equinox does have to get kills and then build up the nuke and then do it again. Saryn literally just needs to press 1 or 2 buttons and the entire map's infected, and then she presses 4 if you need to, and everything just falls dead. Now, a Saryn with an Equinox, forget about it. The enemies are just better off just killing themselves because they're gonna die so fucking fast. You have not seen power unless you've seen a main Equinox with a Saryn. It's kind of intense, and it's a little scary. There's some really good Warframe synergies out there. So, that's Saryn in a nutshell. Her ins and outs. She's a fantastic frame. If you want to go into Sanctuary Onslaught to get the rewards there, some of them are worth it. Or if you just like this kind of playstyle where you like to just destroy all, then Saryn might just be the girl for you. Do note that Saryn, normal Saryn, you have to farm her from a boss. Saryn Prime is vaulted. But you can, in fact, just do Discord Nitro and get Saryn. I don't understand why Saryn of all frames. I can understand Ashe, but Saryn? Saryn. This chick, you can just straight up sign up to Discord Nitro and get her. I'm not sponsored, by the way. But isn't that a bit much? Isn't that a bit much? Whatever. There's going to be a lot of low-level Saryns running around, and I've seen them. They're not going to have a lot of fun because Saryn is just too strong. Not that she's not fun. It's just nuking the entire map this hard is a bit... It's a bit much. So, long-winded thing over. She's fantastic. She is so, so fantastic. I love her a lot. One of my favorite frames, not my absolute like top 5 favorites, but she is definitely up there. Well, maybe she makes the top 5. Maybe I'll do a video on that if you guys want. What are my top 5 frames? Frames that I find the best or ones that I love a lot. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in Trilby, we trust.